G'day Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs, the new breed series. So we're going to look at the core group of players that have come to our club since 2022, the ones that are remain, and I expect to be in the side up until the end of 24 and into end of 25 and hopefully beyond. So the first ones we'll start with the class of 22 and 23. The next one will be our new recruits, including Knight and Sexton, who came late in the piece this year. And then we'll look at those on the fringe, the players that, the youngsters on the fringe starting to make their mark, and then even some of our really talented youngsters from Harold Matts and beyond, who could start to make their impact and start to get a crack at the team in 2025, 2026. We'll look at all them. We'll see the top 30 once it gets shaped. I'll discuss that, and we'll have a look at a potential shopping list for players we may need to come in to the side in 2025 based on what's available to help strengthen the overall quality of our squad while we continue to try and develop juniors to come into the top grade over the next few years. So, fair bit to talk about. So what we're going to do is look at the 2022 and 23 class, the ones that have remained, and I expect to obviously form part of that core. You've got Burton, the Fox, Reed Mahoney, Villiame Kikau, they're all going to be there. Add to those players Ryan Sutton, I think, although it was reported he wasn't happy and stuff, I'm not sure if that was 100% true. But I really think he will be there in the next couple of years and continue to work hard to form combinations and do his job. You've got the likes of Maximus King, who did a very good job coming into the side as an opportunity. Same with Jacob Kiraz and none other than Jacob Preston. And it's sad that there's a couple other players that come in that have now gone, that we had high hopes for, the likes of Vaughan and Pele. Are two major ones that we could look at. But let's get to it. What do we expect from Matt Burton, the Fox, Reed Mahoney, Kikau, all these players next year? Well, we've got a left edge there in the Fox, Burton, Kikau, right? All of them were underdone leading into this pre-season, and your pre-season is where you do the majority of your fitness for the season. It's hard to play catch up from there, which is why it's very, very important. And in the World Cup year, it did affect a lot of clubs, especially early on, and it was a struggle for some players, especially of some class, to sort of get any rhythm. There was obviously some who weren't affected at all and have done really, really well, but it is an actual reason for some issues. Now, the fact that we had all of these players that all had off-season surgery, and Burton, Fox and Kikau, all playing on the same edge. Fox come out and talked him up. He didn't play the Indigenous round, which would have been hard for him to pull out. I've said that before. Now, when that's the case, it was a smokescreen, and where did we get him? We went hard on the right edge. Preston, Flanagan, Averillo and Kiraz, and they went great guns. Kiraz has played busted all year. We found out Jacob Preston was playing busted as well, which is amazing. Two of our best performed players. Jacob Kiraz winning the Coaches Award and Jacob Preston winning every other bloody award apparently, which he deserved, 100%. Now, these youngsters have shown true grit, and it's a reason to get excited about the prospects for these two sort of players in our team. But with every sort of Kiraz, that's his first full season. He come in halfway through the previous year, and he said, he's speaking to Bill Woods after winning his award, and he said he wants to be a real leader in the team next year. That's all well and good, and I hope that he does. But the tough thing for these guys, they've got to be prepared that players will do their homework on these guys as major contributors in our side. And you nullify the major contributors, well, things that then tend to fall apart. So there'll be no ambush. But I think this will work in the favour of some of our more established stars, like the Fox, like Matt Burton, and like Villiame Kikau. I think as long as they don't cop any injuries during the pre-season, they're going to get that full rest. They're going to get that full pre-season. We will see a couple of internationals potentially for the Fox. Knowing Mal Meninga, he's likely to pick Josh Adokar in that side because he's very, very loyal with the Australian teams, and unless someone's absolutely done everything to take that spot, they basically, he's very, very loyal. It's always worked well for Mal and for his side. So we'll see what happens with the Fox. I expect he may play 2 games. I'm not sure if he'll play in the Prime Minister's 13 game, but we will see. We'll see what happens there. But the Fox will get more of a break this year, obviously, and that'll be good for him, having had an injury in the pre-season and 2 injuries during the year. And a hamstring's never good, but he has great recovering ability, and once he gets a couple of runs under his belt, he's very, very good and a real asset. I expect Matt Burton to be stronger and faster in 2024, and we'll talk about it with the new recruits that are coming into this new breed of Bulldogs. The likes of Crichton and Salmon are going to add a lot more connectivity to the team because they've had that connection with Burton. Crichton and Burton played a lot of games together as juniors. They know each other's game well. They played together well. Blake Taff played with Matt Burton in the Australian schoolboy reps in the halves. So you've got a lot of familiarity there. And Jamin Salmon obviously played a couple of years with Matty Burton. I think he was there for a year with Matty before Matt left. But obviously Crichton's been playing with him the last couple of years. So you add that to Bill Kikau as well, and you start to get, you've got these players who understand each other's game and understand each other and have friendships and that sort of thing that they've developed previously, and get to revisit those, and it's really, really good for the side. So a fit Matt Burton is going to be good. I think it'll be great for him defensively, but also with his attack, his kicking. He didn't kick the lever off the footy consistently all year the way he had the previous year. I think it was he had to really maintain. Like, people just think that these guys can just go out there and kick the footy whenever they want. Why aren't you putting the ball? Because there's definitely a fatigue factor that comes in with your leg. It happens, and at certain points to get longevity, that's why you'll find they'll let the other half kick early in the match while they're nice and fresh. For example, Sexton will often do a lot of the earlier kicks, or if they had Flanagan doing that as well, Olawapu when he came in, and then Burton sort of continues to kick as they get into the rhythm of the match. But you'll find, I think he'll be more dominant. He will work hard on his short kicking game. I have no doubt about that. Sexton is a really good kicker of the football. A lot of try assists. He's worked on his digging into the line. We'll talk more about him as well in the next episode. But yeah, Matty Burton, I'm expecting a big season from him. As the captain, he'll work hard on those areas where I felt he would know that he's let himself down, let the team down with his defence. And it's just come down to, I think, his physical capability after a long season. He just struggled to do it. The Fox, I expect him to be fully wound up as well. And round 1, whoever we're playing, I think you will see a much more fitter and faster and more deadly left edge to begin the season. It's interesting to see who's going to fill that position in the centres. I'll talk about Crichton and Taff and the like on that next episode as well. But and obviously Bronson Cherry coming into the club. Jacob Kiraz, I think he might start in the centres. I think they may keep the Fox and Blake Wilson if he remains at the club. Hopefully he does. On the wings, but we may see Kiraz start on the wing, or start in the centres and then push back out to the wing at some point, depending on what happens with Bronson Cherry, which is the big question mark. But having these players there, I really expect big things from that left edge. Now, Villiame Kikau having a full pre-season in his game. What he does is he puts pressure on that edge. So in attack, we saw that try against the Gold Coast. It was pretty poor defence, and they rectified it the next time. But it will happen. Defences will crack if we keep applying pressure and forcing mistakes, which big Villiame Kikau is really good at doing. He puts a lot of pressure on from the marker. He also really pushes from the inside, which makes players have to pass. If they take him on, they rarely get past. That's when he's fit. Once he starts getting under a bit of sufferance, you'll find they can take him on a little bit more. But very good at helping to square up the numbers in defence. Very, very good at that. At sliding across, runs as hard as he can, puts pressure on the kick chase. He does all these little effort areas, which he doesn't get a lot of credit for. You know, people are were highlighting he'd only had 4 runs, which, you know, if he'd had one more run, it would have been satisfactory. It's normal for an edge back row to only have 5 runs and a half. But I suppose as a leader of the club, you want to see him do a little bit more. And maybe that's what we need to see from big Villiame Kikau, is for him to do maybe 6 or 7 hit-ups per half, and to do 14 or 15 in a game. But he's there mainly, from my point, for the defence and to give options to when we're in attack. He's an attacking weapon and he's a defensive weapon. And I know there were some misreads, and when him and Thompson come in and were looking great against the Knights, the next minute they split us through, both of them through the middle in that second game. They've just underdone, and Big Bill was chasing his tail. He wasn't 100% fit. He wasn't fit to start the season. Had a terrible off-season, as we all know. Much publicised. But he will, I believe, hit the ground running as long as there's no injuries in the start of the season or the pre-season. He will hit the ground running, and that left edge will be a potent force to be reckoned with. I 100% believe that, and I know with that pre-season under their belt, they're going to do very, very, very well. There's so much quality on that side of the field, and I expect to see it shine, and I expect to see it starting to play a few of its cards in round 1, but by round 2, 3 and 4 to be really starting to hit its straps. And the players that'll form that combination really should have be much better for the run this year, and that comes into Reid Mahoney and his service. He's considered one of the best passers of the football. The speed and accuracy on the advantage line that he can give the footy, and when he does that, it really brings the halfbacks onto the ball, and that really helps them have more time to do what they've got to do. And then if they're engaging the defence and running straight and straightening up the attack, it just creates extra men for them to choose from. And if they do their job, they can make breaks and score tries. And I really expect that's going to be part of what should happen, as long as Reid's service is good. Because I felt this year was the worst it had been since probably his first or second year at Parramatta when he started, where he's got the gift of it, right? But he just has these inconsistent moments in it. And what it comes down to is the amount of defence he was having to do a lot of the time. And also, I think the captaincy, the nerves, I think it played a part. And having that year experience being the captain and really going through a lot of off-field stuff, as happens with Canterbury, I think it's going to set him up well. I noticed his communication got better as the year went on with the media and stuff like that, because it was a bit shaky to start, which I found interesting. But he's becoming more and more of a leader, and he'll need to, because that's what we really lacked last year. Our leaders were probably, and the people I've mentioned, the likes of the Fox, Kikau, Burton and Mahoney, while they were trying to lead and they were trying to do everything by example, they often overplayed their hand or or were found wanting in key moments, and it did let the team down a lot, and it's put a lot of pressure on these players, and the fan base don't give you much leeway with that stuff, and a lot of the fan base is saying Burton's a centre and all this sort of shit. I'll never concede on that point. I'll never concede. It won't matter if he ends up going there and playing there. We need to have whoever the halves in our club develop to be better than him for that to happen. At least have some forwards that can match it with the better sides in the comp, or with any sides. It's such a cutthroat competition. I felt the competition, in a lot of ways, a lot of teams improved, even teams that didn't make the 8. I felt Manly improved under Seabolt, even though there was some games where I felt that they could have done a lot better. But there was a lot of teams that did well. The Dolphins in their first year, they played quite well, but they had a lot of experience in their side, and a good coach. And then you got the likes of, I felt West Tigers were better than the year before, even though they probably only had the same amount of wins or less, and won the wooden spoon again. A lot of teams improved, and I felt that our best performances were better. People look at the Canterbury versus Parramatta game where we won 30-4, and I sort of think, well, I thought the opposition was very poor that day. But I just think this year we showed a lot of fight and hunger, and were able to win some close games, which we really struggled to do. And our best was better, but our bad games were worse. And overall, you can't say we improved, because we didn't. But in saying that, we had the year from hell with injuries and other stuff. So, look, the circumstances weren't good for us to have a good year, and we didn't have a good year. So, still, I watch the Titanic music with Matt Burton scoring the field goal against the Cowboys, and with Ockenbaugh winning the game against the Titans. And it's great to watch that stuff. You can watch it over and over again with Celine Dion singing the Titanic song to try and remember some good moments of the year. But Max King, he did a great job in 2022 as the second hit-up guy for Paul Vaughan, who pretty much played every game. Got himself an extension at the end of 24. He's part of the leadership group, Max. He's got a nice girlfriend. He's got a savage dog. He was on with the dog father, on the English actual dog father who helps train dogs. Him and his missus, they were on that show on Channel 10 recently, so that was good viewing. But yes, he played injured. He plays with a lot of heart. He plays with a lot of effort. A couple of games were what I call his worst performances in a Bulldogs jersey this year. He had a couple of those games, but it wasn't through him. It wasn't through a lack of effort. It was through physical capability due to the injuries he was carrying. He just wasn't up to it, and he's playing because he had to do it for the team and the club, and he didn't want to let the club or the team down. So full credit to him. But I felt towards the end of the season he started to get his minutes up again. He's playing 48, 50 minutes, sometimes longer, and doing the best job that he could for the team. So if he gets got another pre-season under his belt, he gets a chance to really be the leader of the club in the front row department and be a player that doesn't need another hit-up guy. He can be the player that'll lay the platform. Look, I say that with a bit of hope, because part of me feels that Max's maximum level isn't as a first hit-up front rower. It's as a team man, as a great contributor, but he's not going to be, picked as your number one prop. But right now, that's what the job he has to do for Canterbury. And I felt that he's given it his all. And hopefully he takes that step and becomes worthy of state of origin sort of consideration and stuff like that. I would love nothing more than to see that from Max King. He can offload. He's a smart player. He's an intelligent player. And he's pretty good at cracking the line a little bit and using his leg drive and that sort of stuff. And he's gritty and tough, and he's not afraid of the hard work, and he puts it in. But he's just not that A grade yet. And I'm hoping he can develop into that, but I'm just not sure if he will. And that's the question marks we've got. We need him to, though, if we're going to do anything in the competition. And that's my point there. Jacob Preston. What can you say now? We've got to be careful. Look, they're going to be prepared for him now. He scored some great tries from inside the 10 metres off beautiful passes from Mahoney out of dummy half. I think there'll be less of those tries this year. He made quite a few breaks running the football. He passes all right too. He butchered one try, but you know, he was a 7.5 every single week as a minimum out of 10. He was either 7.5 or 8 or 8.5 out of 10 every single week, and was so consistent for us. Obviously, you know, he grips on like a tiger onto that football. So he's great at coming in and you know, holding the footy and stopping the offload and that sort of stuff. But second year syndrome is a thing, and I really hope that he can keep progressing. And look, he'll be a player who plays representative football, I have no doubt, the way that he plays the game. But opposition teams will be watching him and they'll be ready. So he needs to go to another level as well. If he can do that and remain consistent, it puts our team in great stead. And I see him as a real leader of our pack. In the trial matches, I made comment at the start of the year that against the Sharks, he was the player that was talking when the team started to fall in a bit of a hole. He was the forward you could see on the forward that was doing all the talking, which was very, very interesting to say the least. He's going to be a leader, and we need him to lead now. He might as well. Not easy for a young kid to come in and do that, but to come in and do what he's done, and I think his progression has upset a few people within the club, as in some of the players that were there. He's gone past a few of them, and while I'm sure they're happy for him, it hasn't helped them in their careers. And I just don't know if you know, I reckon that had something to do with it. It's just one of those circumstantial things, you know. This is what happens. And to finish it off, Jacob Kiraz. Don't know whether he plays in the wing. Don't know if he plays. We'll also talk about Ryan Sutton as well quickly, but don't know if he's going to play wing or centre. He won't be playing fullback this year with Taff coming in and Crichton, and I think Hayes Perham will still be in the side somewhere, or be in the fringe, ready for a crack if there's injuries or whatever. But you know, we don't need to give Hayes any crap. He did a good job in that last game, I felt, and made a really good break, set up the Fox. And if he was to do that stuff more often, he would win the fans over pretty quickly. But I'm not sure if he's part of the club's plans or if he'll be moved on or look to find another opportunity. The fans are pretty harsh on him, unfortunately, but we'll see what happens with him. But with Jacob Kiraz, again, I think they're going to be prepared for Kiraz. They know that he can offload. They know that he's never done. He's a fighter. I think they're going to try and rough him up a bit more. And they'll be looking to exploiting him as much as they can. They can see that he's an emotional guy. He's a talented individual. He's a footballer. He's aggressive, controlled aggression. And I think they will try to unsettle the guy a bit. So I think he's got to be prepared that oppositions aren't going to, you know, hold off him they're going to expect him to be one of our major stars, and he's got to be prepared for that. And I think he will. I think you'll see a fitter, stronger Jacob Kiraz again in 2024. And I think it's a very good thing for Canterbury in our club. And hopefully he's extended before November this year, and doesn't get a look in from other clubs. And Ryan Sutton, hopefully he's still in this club. We don't have enough experienced players. I like some of the hits that he did this year. Some really good one-on-one grass cutting tackles. Max King did that as well, and I enjoyed watching that. Some times when was exposed badly, but look, he's got experience. He's a really good bench forward to come on, and we just need him to do the best that he can do. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Thanks for listening, and episode 2 will be coming up once we know more about what's happening with the new recruits and that sort of stuff. Thanks for listening. Take care.